Yeah, it is another episode of the Autumn Windbags. RJ Clifford, Juan Soto. Let's have some fun today. This is my second show with the beard, Soto. You haven't made one comment about it. Is it because it's so
That's
mesmerizing it's leaving you speechless?
I thought it was just some shadowing. You're using some new lighting or something.
My full, robust beard.
I mean,
He hates it. Absolutely hates it. But I'm giving it a whirl. It's more red than I thought. The big thing is, like, I thought, okay, I'm not having any gray hairs, right? Pushing 40, no gray hairs. I'm like, well,
on your beard, you will.
Is it just disappearing faster than it could turn gray, right? Is that what's happening?
Hey, my beard is a little bit longer than I normally keep it, and it's a lot of gray. When I was younger, I had a lot of red in my beard. All that red hair is going to turn white. Trust me.
It hasn't. Hey, so far so
it's
good.
It's going to.
Not a smidge. Not a smidge. It's probably all that clean living.
How many natural old redheads do you see? They got a lot of white in those hairs, man. A lot of white.
Hey, one of them ain't me. It's all that clean living.
Yeah,
I keep it to 7 whiskeys a day because my body's a temple. Yeah. First question of the day. After coming off of shellacking like we did, let's keep it light and fun, right? This is a fun show. The greatest radio advice I ever got in my 13 years of doing radio is always keep it fun. That's what we're going to do. What is the best fast food burger? The best fast food burger. Now, I feel like this gets very regional, right? And you'll know exactly where I'm from when I say mine. Do you want to go first or second?
I'll let you go first.
I'm going to go, standard issue Cali boy. Yeah. I'm going In-N-Out, and I will for good reason. So when I was a kid, I hated In-N-Out because it's just so simple. Like I wanted like chicken nuggets. I wanted a Happy Meal. I wanted, you want like a diversified portfolio. But there's something to a place that's just like, we're just going to make one thing, basically one thing, and we're going to do it immaculately. And we're going to do it really, really well.
It's going to taste the same way every time you get there.
Every single time, no matter where you are, we're doing In-N-Out. And it used to be really exclusive, right? It was only like Vegas and California. That was it. Now it's spread, and it's in like Missouri and Utah. It's spread all over the place. But it's very Californian because it's all fresh ingredients that you get in California, right? Like the Central Valley of California can grow enough food to feed the entire country, right? We're so spoiled by the access to fresh food that we have. Fresh tomatoes, fresh lettuce, fresh air. The fucking French fries are fresh.
They're potatoes.
They literally julienne the potato
into the oil
10 minutes before you eat it. That's how fresh those French fries are. Every other French fry you've eaten in your entire life was made in a factory in Iowa, sat in a warehouse for a month frozen, then went into a fryer at your McDonald's, and then you ate it. The only reason they taste good is because they've inject that shit with like poison and all this stuff to make it taste good. In-N-Out French fries are the only French fries that won't kill you. In-N-Out burger, best burger in the world.
I do like In-N-Out burgers. What's your go-to? How do you order it? Because that's kind of like the thing, like to kind of make you elite is how you order your.
It shows off how local you are.
Yeah.
Where all the verbiage. I just do grilled onions, like a regular, like everything on it, grilled onions, standard issue.
Yeah, I do no onions, but I add chopped banana peppers, chopped grilled banana peppers with mustard on it. They just kind of like make a little paste out of it. That shit's delicious.
I'm sure they're like, God damn it, what a pain in the ass. We gotta bust out the banana peppers, and we gotta grill it up. Must be Soto again.
Damn.
Soto.
I know, right? In-N-Out's good. It's one of my top ones.
The problem is there's always a line. No matter what. It could be 10:01 a.m. and it could be one of those places where there's an In-N-Out and another In-N-Out a block away. Line's still out the door.
Still lines.
Worst part of In-N-Out.
Yeah, I mean, In-N-Out's good. You can't beat a Big Mac, it's like Old Faithful. But honestly, yeah, I like a lot of buns though. You know me. I like a lot of buns.
If not big enough, you want 3 of them.
Yeah, right.
It's like the chick from Total Recall, but for butts.
3 tits, yeah. Mine because of the way you can order it, mine has to be Five Guys. Because I do love the grilled jalapenos and the A1 sauce and the Cajun fries, which are just like the ones at In-N-Out. They're potatoes. They cut them right there and they fry them. Also fresh ingredients.
I didn't know how rich you were. You going for Five Guys?
I don't go often. I don't go out and eat. I don't eat out very often. But if I'm craving a burger, like if I'm in line or whatever, like my chick likes In-N-Out, we'll go whatever. But if we want to like go to have a little bit of time, we'll go to Five Guys because
that's why Carl's Jr. plummets on my power rankings because it's the most expensive one.
It's fucking expensive as hell, man. But I do like those Oreo shakes, man. Those Oreo shakes are top notch.
That's why shout out to the Wendy's value meal, dude.
The Frosty.
99 cents for Frosty, 99 cents for fries, 99 cents for chili, 99 cents baked potato. That's a four-course meal for under $4. Like, you can be like, hey, Colton Miller, you have $7 to buy enough food to be full. He's like, I'm going to Wendy's. You can fill Colton Miller's ass up with $7 at Wendy's.
Wendy's nuts were in your mouth. No, like if I don't remember what Wendy's fries taste like because I always just get the baked potato.
Yeah,
it's like I don't know. It feels like I'm like kind of like high class.
You pour the chili on the baked. You order the chili and pour it on the baked potato.
I can't do that. And have a burger.
Perfect. Oh, it's too perfect.
Oh god,
that's a meal right there. If you're just kind of
I don't know if you knew this, but I have a little bit of a weight problem.
I used to eat bear claws 2 at a time.
Your claws are right in here.
What movie is that from? Put it in the comment section.
Put it in the comments below.
All right. What is the best fast food burger? That's the question of the day. Leave it down in the comments.
No fighting, please. God damn.
No. Bust out the brass knuckles. This is something you really got to be serious about.
RJ, when you tell them not to do something, they'll do it.
Whatever you do not pull it. Do not fashion a shiv out of a toothbrush in prison and stab your fellow Raider fan in the eye because you think that Whoppers are terrible. That's all I ask. So the let's rewind. The trade deadline came and went. It was November 1st. We're recording this Wednesday night, November 2nd. And here's a list of all the giant trades that the Raiders did this season. There you go. There's all the trades that the Raiders did this offseason. Obviously, the Johnathan Hankins was the tiny baby trade. We got a 6th-round pick for our best run stopper on the defensive line. That's it. That's all the moves that the Raiders did. So Ziegler talked about it at a press conference today. We'll get to that in a second. I have a list of all the trades that were made in the last few days. We'll get to that in a second. But what this told me doing nothing is if they had completely given up on the season, there'd be a fire sale, right? We'd be like, all right, let's start ditching these expensive contracts. Let's start moving on. Let's start planning for next season. That didn't happen. If they felt that they could save this season, but they have to go for broke, they would have went the other way. Let's start trading draft picks for let's get desperate and get a right tackle. Let's get a linebacker, right? They'd get desperate and start reaching and overpaying because we wanted someone right now, right? They didn't either. So that tells me that this organization, Ziegler, McDaniels, they're still like sticking to their game plan, right? Whether we're 2-5, whether we're 5-2 or 0-7 and 7-0, they're like, no, this is still our plan. We are still sticking to it, despite incredibly disappointing first 8 weeks of the season. Soto, is that what you saw? And do you agree?
That is what I saw, and I do agree. I don't know that there was any one player out there available that would have been worth what it would have taken to get him. Not just not just short term, but long term as well, because you still have to end up paying him. And the way our roster is built right now, it would be very difficult to do that. And we're not one Roquan Smith away from making this defense much better. I know we have a little bit of a difference of opinion in how to build a defense like that. And, there's I'm of the opinion there's 3 ways to do things, right? Fast, cheap, and good. And you pick 2 out of 3. Mm-hmm. And if you want to,
describing all my ex-girlfriends right now.
Yes. If you want to do it fast, and good, it's not going to be cheap. If you want to do it good and cheap, it's not going to be fast, right? If you do it fast and cheap, it's not going to be good, So I think where we got in trouble with our roster the way it is now, where it has so many holes, is Gruden was building this team as the general manager he was building it as a head coach, where head coaches look 1-2 years down the line, whereas general managers look maybe 4 or 5 years down the line. And that's why we're in the position we're in right now. Gruden has a track record. That's why I called him a firework. He has a track record. Look what happened to our Super Bowl team. He leaves to go to Tampa. He leaves his team behind. They go to the Super Bowl that year. The next year, they don't make the playoffs. They don't make the playoffs for another 10 years. Right? Now, what happened in Tampa? He wins the Super Bowl, and then he misses the playoffs, goes to the playoffs, misses the playoffs, and then it goes steadily downhill. He's a firework, right? Same thing with us. We went to we took his team to the playoffs, but then when someone else takes over, that doesn't run his exact scheme, you see the glaring holes in the roster.
Yeah.
And if you're selling you're selling yourself Ziegler and McDaniels as a kind of a package deal, it's not going to be a firework type thing. And I think that's what Mark Davis signed up for. Like, hey, do this the right way. I like your plan. Let's see it out. We can't just shift a couple games into the season because we did have some injuries, right? We did have some players that we were counting on that maybe haven't fulfilled their expectations. Chandler Jones, so let's. I
also wonder if Dave Ziegler's a little gun shy after how free agency went. Because
I think he is for sure. That Chandler Jones, I wouldn't want to look. Yeah. If you're going to spend that money, you would want to spend the money on a Roquan Smith, a guy on the ascending still, right? A young guy, first big contract. I don't know that we're going to get those big players anymore that are on the downside, on the back nine of their career. I don't think we're going to do that anymore because it's going to be that long game. Build that roster, build that depth, fill those holes.
So, you look at Ziegler's moves recently, and it's been the good one. I think I'm still supportive of the Davante Adams move. Let's get the best receiver in football. He wanted to play with Derek Carr. He wanted to be here.
I mean, he wanted to play with the Raiders. Derek Carr just happened to be here.
I think it's more Carr than him being on the Raiders. I mean, do.
He wasn't wearing a Carr jersey when he was 10 years old. He was wearing a Raiders jersey.
Oh, no, he wasn't wearing Carr's fucking 8-year-old Pop Warner jersey.
Exactly. He's a Raiders fan.
Exactly.
What do you want to tell you?
Okay. I think you wanted Carr more than anything, but whatever. We can move on. Obviously,
Carr ain't going to be here next year, bro. I'm going to tell you that right now.
Huh?
Carr's not going to be here next year.
Want to bet?
Sure. What do you want to bet?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. He'll be here next year.
Okay, so here's the deal. Here's my take on that, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
I don't believe he's going to be here next year because the way his contract is set up right now, as of this moment, his last years of his contract, those last 3 years, the void years, those are not guaranteed, right? Mm-hmm. But when the new league year starts in 2023, if he's still on the roster that day, then those years become fully guaranteed. Those are guaranteed years now. Now, not all the money is fully guaranteed, but those are guaranteed years. I don't know with the season that Carr has had up till now, if I'm Josh McDaniels and I'm Dave Ziegler, I'm going to hitch my career as a Raider on a 10th year quarterback that didn't show you that much when you were starting that first year. And I think they would want to maybe reset their clock and start with the younger quarterback and fill gaps with that money. Because honestly, the way he's playing right now, I don't know that he's worth $35-40 million, which is what he's going to get paid those last 3 years, 35, 40, and 40 something.
Well, one, I don't think they think Carr's been playing as terrible as you do. I don't think anyone thinks Carr plays as terrible as you do. But two, I think they'd much rather stick with someone they have than to risk being in quarterback purgatory. Nothing kills coaches' jobs faster than not having a quarterback.
And Derek Carr and being Derek Carr. Nothing kills head coaches faster than being Derek Carr. He's got 7 of them. And
come on. Gruden wasn't his fault, right? You can acknowledge Gruden wasn't his fault.
No, it wasn't. I'm
right?
not trying to come down on Derek Carr. What I'm saying is you have to take a look at this objectively, right? And objectively, Derek Carr is not playing very good, okay? He had 2 meltdown games this year already. In year 9, he had 2 meltdown games. And
4 good games.
Okay, no, he had 4 okay games.
He had 4, they were good.
No, dude, look, your
no turnovers, 250 yards, couple touchdowns.
Yeah, that's game manager type.
Good.
That's game manager type games. He's not throwing for 300 plus yards. He's not throwing for 3 touchdowns. He's not doing that. When you needed the quarterback to kickstart your offense because your running game wasn't working, he couldn't do it. He failed miserably. Okay. And that's the game manager part. And you don't pay a game manager that much money.
He's proven 100 times he's more than a game manager.
That is in the past, sir. What we're looking at
still
right
who he
now.
Is.
Okay, that's who he was. Who he is who he's showing us right now.
If he's worse now than he was, whose fault is that?
Look, if I'm Josh McDaniels,
if he's worse
I'm not
now
blaming
than he
it
was,
on myself.
So you think he's going to use Carr as a scapegoat? That he'll get rid of Carr and say that's the reason we failed?
No. I'm not saying he's going to use him as a scapegoat. I'm saying he's going to look at what he has now and how he's playing with me. This is the system that I run, and I'm going to tweak it, and I'm going to make it so he can be able to be his best. Because honestly, right now, every single week up until I think maybe week 4, Carr has been given less and less responsibility in this game plan. Because the first game, wide open, you can check, you can change plays, you can do this, you can throw the ball, whatever it is, and that, and he melted down. Three picks, terrible game for him. We had this game where our running game wasn't able to pace us on offensively, and he melted down. So if I'm Josh McDaniels, I don't feel comfortable giving that big of a chunk of my salary cap to a quarterback that hasn't shown he's that elite level talent to be able to warrant that. When I have so many other holes, it's not about him as a player. I'm not saying he's not good. I'm saying is the deficiencies that he has compound each other, and it's a terrible mix. Okay,
well,
it's a bad mix.
If I'm Josh McDaniels, the only reason I get rid of him was to scapegoat him, because if he's playing worse now than he has in his entire career, then that's on McDaniels more than anybody. If Davante Adams is playing worse than he has in his career, or at least recently, right? Because he wasn't good when he first started, but since he became Davante Adams, if he's playing worse, then that's on McDaniels. Same with Hunter, right? So it's like I can see him trying to scapegoat somebody. I can't see him going into. So maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. Maybe Carr isn't next season as a scapegoat, because I can't see him wanting to be in quarterback purgatory.
You keep saying quarterback purgatory. What does that mean?
It means you don't have a quarterback.
We're in quarterback purgatory now.
No, we're not. He's a 10. You said yourself he's a 10 to 14 quarterback, and you think he's a good game manager.
He's not playing like he's not playing like a 10 to 14 quarterback.
Okay, for 3 games.
You look up his stats. They're not good, man. He's not playing great. We've been where we've been as far as scoring wise because of our running game. That's what's been pacing us. And you don't pay a quarterback that much money if he's not he's not running and the cause of your offense. Right now, we're doing well offensively because of our running game.
And if he's playing worse now than he has in a long, long time, that's on McDaniels, and he either realizes that and wants him to scapegoat, or he says, shit, am I going to be able to get someone better than Carr this quick with my job on the line?
So look,
that's what muddles it up.
So yeah, this is what muddles it up when it comes to having a game plan and a system like Josh McDaniels' system. Okay, it's not like choice route here, choice route there. It's different than that. Okay, it's a little. And I think Jon Gruden was, like you said before, he was the perfect coach for Derek Carr. He built an offense around what Derek Carr can do and what he can't do, and we've seen it work.
No, I think Carr adjusted to Gruden. We said it before. Gruden, like, this is my system, and you will abide by my system. And Carr's the ultimate soldier, so he's like, yes, sir, whatever you want. I'll throw left-handed. That's what you desire, right?
Yes.
That's Carr.
But here's the problem, though. Carr, pre-snap, I'll give you that. Carr is, and I've said it before, I don't mind saying it. Carr is amazing pre-snap. He does an excellent job helping his offensive line. He can see blitzes coming. He calls the shit out all the time. And he knows what he's doing pre-snap. And a lot of that was Jon Gruden his help, but he has retained that knowledge and that power to do so. He's got a strong arm. He can make all the throws, all right? He's accurate with the ball. And he's an excellent leader, okay? The issues you run into is the issues that he has, they compound off of each other and they become bigger issues. So post snap, he's not great. He gets fooled a lot post snap, and I saw a lot of game film in this last game, and on top of not being very good post snap, he also doesn't have very good pocket awareness. So when you're not good post snap, you tend to hold the ball a little bit longer than you should, and without that pocket awareness, that becomes an issue. Now, on top of that, he's not the most mobile guy. I'm not saying he's a statue out there, but he's not a guy that's going to attack you with his legs and make you kind of play him honestly for the run. All right. And he fumbles a lot. He turns the ball over. So those things, they compound each other. Is he extremely accurate? Is he one of those pinpoint accurate guys? No. Does he have crazy arm talent where he can like maybe throw a ball late and have it still get there in time? No. He has a strong arm, but not one of those elite level arms. So you put all that together, and there's a lot of issues going on that maybe we didn't see before, but it's coming up now.
Well, he's improved his pocket awareness exponentially in the last like 2-3 seasons. So he was, I would say, below average pocket awareness before. Now I'd say he's average or better pocket awareness. He's moved in the pocket and saved a lot of sacks this season. He does still hold on to the ball. He doesn't do it every time. That's the thing.
No, but what I'm saying is look, I hate cutting you off. I'm sorry, but you're looking for things where he's improved. But what I'm saying is every time one happens, there's another one right there that actually attaches to that one that makes it worse, that makes that issue worse. So yeah, I didn't see that pre-snap. This is post-snap, and I gotta hold it a little bit longer, and my pocket awareness isn't great. I can't get away.
Back to your original take that McDaniels wants to move on from Carr. If his system's this complicated, where even Derek Carr, very, very smart, 10-year veteran, is struggling to figure it out, do you think he's going to want to start over with a rookie or a guy from scratch? I don't think so. That's the other part of it too.
Dude,
his job on the line. If the Raiders go, God forbid, like 5-12, right? Okay. And his job's on the line next season. He's like, all right, starting over, brand new guy. I'm like,
look, if he sees Derek Carr as not being able to run his system, why would you stay with him? That's what I'm talking about right now. Mac Jones, for all his deficiencies, he had like the 4th scoring offense last year. They dummied it down a lot and they did certain things, but he was able to make a lot of the reads that Carr is not able to make. He's just not making them. I'm not saying he's not able to, but he's just not making them. And you're telling me that the weapons that Mac Jones had last year are better than the weapons Carr has this year? It's not true, man. So if you're not doing what you need to do as that veteran quarterback and you're paying him that much money and you owe him that much, and it's not just 1 year, RJ, it's 3 years of exponentially growing contract, 35, 40, I think 3 or something like that. It's a lot of money to give somebody that you're not 100% with, that's been running your offense the way you want to run it. He's had to dial it way back since week 1.
If you're Josh McDaniels and you're saying, all right, this guy's 10-year veteran and he's taken him a while to learn this system, I'm going to give him time to do it. Like, we got to remember, McDaniels had his pick of the litter of coaching jobs. Every single coaching vacancy he could have had. I think we can agree. Like, every single coaching vacancy, I think pretty much. That's why it's hard for me to come down too hard on getting rid of Bisaccia and getting McDaniels, because I think just about every owner probably would have got McDaniels, more or less.
He must have interviewed for almost every single job.
Yeah, at least interviewed.
Because everyone wanted to talk to him.
I think it's safe to say that McDaniels chose Las Vegas, right? Chose Derek Carr.
I agree with that. I think he had
right?
several suitors.
And so he's thinking, okay, I can. This is the guy that can do my system, right? And it's taken a while for it to work. I think he'd rather be like, all right, I've got Carr a year into this system learning it, so the learning curve next season should already be right there, right? I'm already a year into this guy. And we know they built a 3-year window, right? The way they structured all these contracts, it's a 3-year window. I think he'd rather do that than completely start over from scratch with somebody else and risk quarterback purgatory.
But he's also shown you that he's wildly inconsistent, and he has these games multiple times per year. The last 4 years, he's had multiple games like he had against New Orleans. There's been multiple games every single year where that's happened, and you can blame.
And every single year he's had games like he did against the Dallas and like last season. Like he's done other amazing games too.
These wild swings, dude, they just can't happen. You can't win consistently with those wild swings like that. You can't have that. And I understand he's had some highs. Okay, yeah, we won last season, but again, take a look at those last 4 games. How did he play? He didn't play. It wasn't because of his play that we won those last 4 games last year.
That's how we won our first 4 games, was how he played.
Exactly. But and where were we before we won those last 4? We were under 500. That's where we are with Derek Carr playing. I'm telling you, I mean, I don't want to make it all about Carr, but what I'm saying is I don't know that if I'm Josh McDaniels and if I'm Dave Ziegler, I'm going to put my job on the line for a quarterback who's shown me that even in year 9, he's this slow picking up our offense, and guarantee him $120 million the next 3 years.
I think they would over quarterback purgatory.
You keep saying quarterback purgatory, RG. Who's to say it's quarterback purgatory? If you go up and get the guy,
it's going to happen unless there's a quarterback available.
There is quarterbacks available. There's a lot of quarterbacks available in the draft next year.
You think McDaniels wants to risk starting over with a rookie?
Okay, well, here's the deal.
Job on the line.
You can call it risking that or going for something better. But if you see what you have now and you see that it's not good enough, why not go for something better?
First off, your premise, I don't think Ziegler looks at Carr and says it's not good enough. I don't think so.
His play right now hasn't been good enough. Ziegler said it himself.
Neither is Devontae's, neither is Hunter's, neither as.
We're not talking about them. We're talking. Don't pull the distraction. We're talking about Derek Carr and his contract. His contract is set up in a certain way to where they're either all in or they're all out. And I'm telling you, his play right now, because of the contract,
they're in for 2 more years, guaranteed.
3 more years. No,
I think it's 3 total.
It's 3.
This one,
no.
Let's double check that.
This one he already had. It's 3 more.
Wasn't it a re-sign, not an extension? Oh, it was an extension, not a re-sign.
It was an extension. It was 3 years. You're right. So so after this season, look, right now, those 3 years are non-guaranteed. When the league year starts in 2023 in March, those 3 years become guaranteed. Yes, all 3 become guaranteed when that starts, RJ. That's $35 million, $40 million, and 40-something and change. Dude, that's $120 million for a quarterback that hasn't run your system, and he's in his 9th season. That hasn't been able to run your system that a rookie quarterback ran the season before with less weapons to better results. Now, look,
I think they keep him.
I think
especially if his job with the flying.
I think you want to keep him, but I don't know that they're going to want to hitch their wagon onto somebody that with the experience hasn't been able to. And Ziegler said it, execute the game plan. That was his big thing. Is I'm very happy with. We'll get to that in a second. But his big thing was this one criticism was we haven't been able to execute the game plan. Well, whose job is it to execute the game plan? It's the quarterback's job to execute the game plan.
Well, 53 players, but I get what you're saying.
No. The main player, he's the main guy. He's the one that he's the straw that stirs the drink. So what I'm not trying to come down
Ziegler
on Carr.
said that. Ziegler said that because there's 3 things that make you win and lose football games, right? Personnel, game plan, execution, basically, right? Who's out there? How well do they play? And who's
how well they
coaching, right? If you would have said, so he doesn't want to blame the personnel because that reflects on him. That's him saying, I didn't put out a good team. So he's not going to say, well, we didn't put out the right guys because that makes him look bad. He's not going to say they're poorly coached because that's going to make his buddy Josh McDaniels look bad. So the only thing left is these guys got to execute. I mean, we're putting out a monster squad. We are coaching them brilliantly.
No, we don't have to say that. We're saying we're doing the best we can with what we have right now. We're always looking to get better. Okay, that's what he said. We're always looking to get better at every position. That's code word for we've been given a roster with a lot of holes, and we're trying to freaking fill them as best we can. Because that's what happened. He's been given a roster with a lot of holes.
They didn't do shit.
Bro,
and the shit they did,
good,
most of it was bad.
Fast and
Chandler
cheap.
Jones.
Good, fast, and cheap. If you want to build a good roster and you want to build it cheap because you have all these contracts that are given to other people, it's not going to be fast.
They've had since January.
Dude, I'm talking a couple of years, man, to fill these gaps and make this a more balanced team. It's going to take some time, man.
Well, let's go back to what started this. Ziegler and free agency. We didn't do shit leading up to the trade deadline. I'm wondering if Ziegler's gun shy because of the mistakes that he's made so far, or appear to be mistakes so far, right? Extending Waller when you didn't have, neither one of us wanted to extend Waller.
The Renfrow contract is, dude, look.
Chandler Jones, that's obviously hurting bad. I still think Hunter is just underutilized. We'll disagree on Hunter. I know you like Hunter more than I do.
Oh, yeah. I don't like the Hunter contract. I never liked the Hunter contract. Okay. Davante Adams is your best wide receiver, right? He's your best deep threat. He's your best over the middle threat. He's your best slot receiver. He's your best receiver anywhere you want to put him. Mm-hmm. You don't pay somebody that much money, $15 million a year, basically, to be the second best at everything he does. You get guys like Mac Hollins to fill a role because you already have the main guy, because he can make other guys.
We'll disagree on Hunter. I thought you could do Davante and Hunter and not Waller. You could do Davante and Waller and not, right? Like, I feel like
you can get a nice linebacker and a nice defensive tackle for that $15 million, my man.
Or you just hit on Chandler Jones, and then so much of this problem's gone, right? Like, that's my point. Is all right. So like, even you hate the Hunter Renfrow contract, right? So according to you, that's 4 atrocious contracts, 5 if you count Carr, and 1 good one with Davante. All his big moves. The only one that most people think was, okay, Davante Adams is worth the money and the draft capital. Doesn't sound like you like the Carr one. You don't like the Hunter one. Neither one of us thought the Waller extension made sense, and everyone hates the Chandler Jones move. So all his big splash moves basically have blown up in his face.
I don't have a problem with the Carr contract because we can get out of it.
So four of his 6 big moves you don't like.
I feel we wanted to play a different way. I think Josh McDaniels wanted to play a different way, and he saw how it was handled week 1, and he knew we couldn't play that way, because week 2, week 3, week 4, he dialed it back every single week until we found the mixture.
It took him 4 games to do what we said after game 2. Run the ball, open up play action, limit errors in the passing game. And I think this whole Josh McDaniels, he's so flexible. It's like, I don't think he is. Like, he's not showing it with the Raiders.
In week 3, that was a tough week, and you were there because fucking Tennessee scored touchdown in the first 3 drives. You were put behind. You couldn't run the ball like you wanted to. So that was, again, you put the ball in the quarterback's hands and tell him, hey, come get us back into the game, and we came up short. We were able to get the ball first and run. It was a lot better.
Let's get back to Ziegler. Ziegler did a press conference today. It's Wednesday, recording this Wednesday evening, Wednesday morning, and his comments got Raiders Twitter really hot and bothered. He talked for about a half hour. I watched the whole thing. There's about 20 seconds talking about how he feels about the roster.
We feel good about the team that we have here, and we feel good about the guys that we have here. We need to execute better, And so, again, we looked at some things to help improve the team, I'd say, in different ways. And again, those didn't materialize. But at the same time, we're excited about the group that we have. We're excited to continue to learn about the group that we have, and again, identify people and players that we can continue to build with.
So my 2 takeaways were, how can you look at this defensive roster and feel good about it? Is the first one. You can't possibly feel good about it. 2, the execute thing that you brought up. And like I said earlier, he's not going to blame the coach. He's not going to blame himself. So he's saying our guys need to execute. No, he's not wrong, right? Especially after New Orleans, nobody executed. So it's like, he's not wrong in that statement. Like, these guys are, almost everyone's playing beneath themselves, like not as good as they have in the past, below average. From Davante Adams to our worst backup right tackle, right? Everyone's playing terrible. But this was pure damage control. Like, everything he's saying is damage control. Fans got mad at his words. You need to be mad at his actions. That's what people should be mad about. Of course he's going to say, I feel good about it, right? It's damage control. That's what you do in press conferences. You're not there for them. You're there for yourself, right? You want to put out the narrative that makes you and your team look the best. Don't be mad at Dave Ziegler's words. Be mad at the Chandler Jones contract. Be mad at the Darren Waller contract. Be mad at this defensive squad that never got touched. Be mad at the right side of our line that they didn't address. Be mad at the actions. It's the words that I think that the words reignited people's hate. Mm-hmm. Don't let that, keep your eye on the ball. It's his actions that we should be, is non-actions, if anything, that we should be mad at.
Well, there's that, but also you have to take a look at our losses have been, before New Orleans, have been close losses. And the difference between the wins and the losses did come down to execution in a lot of those cases. 3 interceptions the first game, not great. Second game, just didn't move the ball one bit in the second half. And
you
you
had
have
to
a fumble
tackle
and
that little tiny quarterback one time to win the game. One time.
Okay. We also could have done something offensively in the second half. We had 40 yards offensively in the second half. Also, we fumbled in overtime. That's execution. Okay. Our third game, drop passes, drop touchdowns, a poorly
down
thrown
3 scores out of the gate to the fucking Titans.
Yeah, down 3 scores. We were able to claw back. The ball was in our quarterback's hands. He's been shown to lead drives, game-winning drives when you need field goals. But when you need to put the ball in the end zone, he hasn't been as great.
Like I said, execution, he's not wrong. He's not wrong about execution.
Look,
he's very right about execution.
As bad as you want to talk about this roster, we were in those games to win, and the execution is the reason we lost.
And because the roster wasn't great,
we were
and
in
because
those
of
games.
play calling.
We weren't getting blown out every single. You can blame the roster being bad if we're getting blown out every week. We're like, dude, we're not even fucking close to these guys. But we're in games every week, and there's 1 or 2 plays per week that aren't being made that need to be made. And
you've always said players make wins and losses. That's always been your line. Players. We need players. It's the players that play the game. It's the players that win the game. And now you're saying, no, it's execution when I'm saying the roster's trash?
Well, the players execute. The players execute. The freaking coach doesn't execute the play. The players have to execute the play.
Good players execute good plays. Like you've always said in 2 years of this podcast. You said players. And now you're saying, no, just use the guys you have and execute. Like you're right. They didn't execute. I'm with you. But don't let that also overshadow the other 3 errors. That this is a roster that our dumbasses saw a mile away with gaping holes that they chose not to address. That's Ziegler's job.
You're making it seem like we're getting blown out every single week and don't have a chance. We have chances, and it's stupid plays at ends of games that are costing us most of these games.
Okay, but if it's Carr on that presser and he says execution, then yes, like he's pointing at himself, the thing he can control, right? If it's Josh McDaniels on that presser and he's saying, I got to call plays better, I need to work harder, I need to work the guys that I have better. He's pointing the finger at himself and he's saying what he's supposed to. When it's Ziegler, who's he can't execute, he's not on the field, he can't design, he's not doing plays, he's not the coach. It's just personnel. That's the one thing he needs to worry about. And that is one of the things that's a major issue with this team. And he doesn't address it. He's the only one not pointing the finger at himself. McDaniels does, players do. Ziegler is not.
Okay, so what do you say then? You're Ziegler. What do you say to that?
You say exactly what he said, but we're supposed to see through it. You say, you point the finger elsewhere. But I need to see through that.
Let me tell you another reason why you don't say it. When you say, you know what, I need to do a better job getting us some more talent on this roster. Every player in that freaking locker room is like, he thinks we're fucking shit. You're going to want to play for that? No, you're going to want to tell them what the coach is telling them. Look, here, look at this play. Boom, you did this, you did that. This is where we messed up. Look, guys, if we execute, we can win these games. Look at this play. Boom.
That's two good reasons. We agree.
Coaching.
He's saying what he's supposed to.
And that's execution.
He's saying what he's supposed to. But it's not truth. It's damage control, keeping morale high. For the reasons you said. I'm agreeing with you.
I think it is truth. I think it is truth that execution has been the out of the big 3, execution has been the bad one because we've been in these games except for this last one. And I'm not going to discount the whole illness thing because guess what? Devonta Adams still isn't full pop in practice yet. So I think a lot of people were sick still for that last game. I'm not saying that's all of it. I'm not saying that at all. What I am saying is that the execution was the issue in those close game losses. It was the execution.
I'm not giving Ziegler the out that you are. He did not build this roster to the extent of his ability. He poorly constructed a playoff roster. He had a playoff roster, and he poorly constructed it. Yes, we've executed, especially in that Saints game. Good God, was execution terrible. Every single player can point to themselves at certain points in certain games. They didn't execute. But if it was a really good defensive end there in his prime and not Chandler Jones, we probably win that Arizona game. If we don't sign Darren Waller all that money, and we get a defensive player or someone who doesn't drop passes in the Nashville Tennessee game, the Titans game, we probably win that Titans game. So like you're right, like bad execution, but the only thing Ziegler can control is who's out there, and he's done a terrible job. And this was damage control. His statement this morning. That's all I'm saying.
I think it's part of that too, but you can't discount the execution. I understand that.
I don't want to. I definitely don't. I'm saying that's normally what we go about, right? When we're on this show, 70% of it is player A did shit, player B did well. This is what player C has to do better, right? That's the bulk of our conversation when we talk about the Raiders. Ziegler does a presser. It's like, okay, let's talk Ziegler. Let's talk personnel. Let's talk roster and moves and trades for a little bit because it hasn't been pretty.
Well, what he said was nothing that came up that made sense. Because look, again, he's not a head coach. He's not Jon Gruden as GM. He's not win now, do everything for now and worry about the rest of it later, which is why we get into positions like we're in now. Like he left us in Oakland after he left. We were in a bad spot, owing a lot of money to pay players who were on the like Chandler Jones-esque. And we had a ton of those. We didn't just have one or two. We had a lot. Okay. And then when he did the same thing in Tampa, okay, he's looking at it as a GM. We have to fix these major gaping holes. Yeah, you like that? Major gaping holes in our roster.
Make them tight.
And if it makes sense, we can make a deal. But if it doesn't make sense, if it's a little too rich, then we can't make that deal.
Yeah, and I'm treating Ziegler the same way I treat McDaniels. They've given us shit so far, but I'm in it for the long haul. I'm like, all right, it's it takes time, blah blah blah. To your Gruden point, like, yeah, Gruden left some shit over, but Ziegler's making his own shit too. You know what Chandler Jones' cap hit is next season? Do you remember?
It's like 20-something million or something like that.
Not over 19, almost 20.
Yeah, well,
almost 20 million, right? Yeah. That's 100% Ziegler, right?
Yeah, that's tough.
This Waller thing, all that guarantee we had. If anything, Gruden gave Ziegler a gift with Waller's contract, right? He had 2 more years on that contract of pennies, and wait 1 more year. Ziegler said, "Nope, we're jumping in, making him rich right now." That's 100% Ziegler.
We also don't know what happened with the Waller thing behind the scenes. He can say all he wants, I want to play, but he wasn't out there, number one. And do you alienate a captain on your team, your very first thing in? That's tough.
So do you like the Waller move or no? Because you said before you hated it.
I don't like it, but there's certain things you have to do sometimes.
But you're giving Ziegler the benefit of the doubt. That may be something.
No, I'm saying that we don't know, and it's a possibility. So I wouldn't come down on him 100%, because I mean, honestly, if you look at it, are you going to alienate one of the captains on your team and it's your first season there? Like, what kind of message is that sending? Like, you do want to keep this guy. He's one of the best in the league at his position. You didn't know he was going to get hurt, right? And look at Keenan Allen. He has a hamstring injury too. He's been out longer than Waller's been out. It's not like he's babying it or milking it or anything like that. I mean, sometimes these hamstring injuries, when you're the type of player like they are,
I wish you give Carr the same benefit of the doubt that you give Ziegler.
After 9 years, I'll come down on him the same way I do Derek Carr.
Okay. Well, we can all agree Ziegler has not, like, it's not at the point. It's same thing with McDaniels. Ziegler's not on a hot seat. We're not thinking about firing him, like none of that. Moving forward, it's like I'm trying to be optimistic. Looking back, it's been terrible. It's been very, very bad. Other than Devontae, the big moves have been bad. And even the Johnathan Hankins thing, like a 6th for a 7th for our best run-stopping defensive tackle. It's like, he played great for the Cowboys over the weekend, right? So it's like, it's just not, hopefully it pans out. Hopefully, like, it's just time, and he's got a vision, and this is all part of it, and it's growing pains. But that's best case scenario, because so far it's been bad.
Like what you give to Derek Carr all the time. You give him best case scenario. Do the same thing for
that's
the
what
entire
I'm doing.
team.
That's literally
you're not. You're like,
hopefully, been trash and hoping.
You don't say hopefully Derek Carr could be one of the top quarterbacks in the league. You say he is one of the top quarterbacks in the league.
Derek Carr's track record as an NFL quarterback is light years better than Josh McDaniels' track record as a head coach. We're banking that he has become a better one. Two very different things.
I mean, Derek Carr's record in the NFL is not good.
The Raiders' record with the worst defense of the decade is not good.
You can slice it any way you want, but if you want to talk track records, he's 59-75, 44% win rate.
Better than McDaniels. And McDaniels inherited a better and didn't have the worst defense of the decade.
Well, let's see. The first 35 games of their career. First 35 games, Josh McDaniels is 13-22. That's 37% win percentage. Derek Carr was 12-23 for 34%.
Okay, come on.
First
You remember those first years when we weren't going to have 1,000 yards? We were on pace.
You remember these first years? These are his first year here, man. If you want to do it to one person, do it to the other.
I don't cut up data to make a point.
I'm not cutting it up. I'm giving you the whole data.
What's your win percentage? Period.
44% over a 9-year career. Let's see Josh McDaniels after 9 years of coaching. Let's see where his win percentage is.
If he was here 9 years, I would love it because that means he's doing well. God, I hope that's the case.
All we can go by is what the numbers they have, which is 35 games.
Speaking of Josh McDaniels, in just 7 games, Josh McDaniels is 2-7. In just 7 games, he's had to meet with Mark Davis after the Titans game, and
go to the principal's office.
Mark Davis has felt the need to issue a statement through one of the guys that he goes to issue statements, Vincent Bucksignori.
He has a guy for that.
He's got a guy for that, and it's Vince. And Mark Davis said, from Vince, just to clear anything up after some report service today, this is from Raiders owner Mark Davis. Josh McDaniels is our head coach and will be for years to come. When you have to not once but twice, as a billionaire owner, pop your head up and let everyone know the status of your head coach, something's awry. Now, this is a strong statement, and I guess it's a good statement that he's publicly backing his head coach. Well, remember when Joe Rogan got in that N-word problem and they tried to cancel him and he missed a pay-per-view and he did that video and he said, I'm not racist. I was taking on cons, blah, blah, blah. And he ended it with something very poignant. He said, I'm not racist, but if you have to come out and tell people you aren't, you fucked up, right? If you have to have your owner come out publicly and say, the head coach is our guy, you fucked up, right? Like that. Things aren't going well, right? If we were 7-0, Mark Davis would be like, nope, don't worry, Josh McDaniels is our guy, right? Like that wouldn't be a thing.
No, for sure.
So I'm wondering, not what would you do, not what would I do, but would the owner of the fantastic franchise, the Silver and Black, Las Vegas Raiders, that owner, Mark Davis, do you think he would fire Josh McDaniels after 1 year? Is it possible that it could be a one and done after this 2-5 start?
I don't think so. I don't think so at all. Look, there was rumors swirling around Gruden for a couple of years, his first couple of years, because we're like, dude, this team sucks. They're drafting and all this other shit, right? Mm-hmm. Mark Davis never came out and fucking backed him. There were freaking rumors for years they're going to trade.
Yeah, he did. He came out and backed Gruden publicly. Yeah. I remember.
Not like this. I don't know, man.
It was exactly like this. Look, like a media member.
And just like the Joe Rogan thing.
Not 7 games into year one.
Just like the Joe Rogan thing when he came out and said, I'm not racist. I believe him at his word that he isn't. I believe Mark Davis at his word that he wants Josh McDaniels to be the head coach of this team for years to come. Now, is there certain things that can change that? Sure there is. If he pulls a Gruden and does some stupid shit, if his team just revolts on him and he just he can't handle it, if he implodes, which I don't see happening, but there's certain things that can happen to make him change his mind. But also you have to take a look at this. You can't be bouncing around from coach to coach to coach, man. It's not a good look, and you're not going to get the highest quality coaches to come in because they're not going to want to be bounced after a year because you bounced the last 2 guys after. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you do have to have some foresight and some long-term planning as well, and you do have to be patient. And I think that when Mark Davis signed up for that Ziegler McDaniels package, it was a long-term thing. It wasn't a make this happen right away.
I think every head coach, not every coach not every owner every time. Like sometimes you have a bridge coach, right? When you've got your eye, like, like Dallas is just waiting for Sean Payton to come back, right? Like there's certain situations like that, but usually,
bro, I think Sean Payton might go to freaking Chargers, bro. I'm telling you right now.
But like that's my point. Is like little tiny. God, that would suck. I hope Brandon
It would
Staley's
suck
in with the Chargers.
Brandon Staley has already buried himself, dude.
He had so much media equity. Like he had so much media equity, and he just. Dude, the head coaching in the AFC West,
nice hair,
like Andy Reid, and then everyone else.
Everyone also ran. It's like he got Staley had that nice hair, that big smile. Hey man, I'm a young guy and I'm hip.
Nathaniel Hackett had to hire a babysitter after like week 3.
I told you from the very beginning that guy was trash.
Dude,
I told you from the very beginning,
dude. Everyone they hired him to try to get Aaron Rodgers. When they get it, there's like, oh shit.
When he was oogling fucking Wilson's Ruffles wife, bro. Like I'm like, come on, man, this guy's not gonna fucking pan out.
Let's say the Raiders go 4-13. McDaniels still the coach next season? Do you think Mark Davis?
Yeah, I think so.
An implosion that bad?
The only thing that I see happening is if like all the players just kind of like just shut them out. And it's just
like what happened in Denver.
Like a toxic environment there, and like what happened with the Nets, right? Like with the Brooklyn Nets, like everyone just started shutting out the coach. They just didn't listen to him. They if they start getting blown out every single game, okay, that's different. But I don't. First off, I don't see this team ending that poorly. I think that
it would be unbelievable if arguably the best locker room in football, like. Last season, like they overcame more than any team has ever had to, right? Like such a durable locker room. If McDaniels manages to lose that locker room in one season, right? Like it would take. Yeah. I'm with you. I think a bad record. I think Mark Davis is going to look at like, look, well, one, just purely financially, we don't know what his deal is, but there's always we know it's a pretty decent.
You're still paying Gruden, right?
Time wise, and a buyout after year 1 has got to be so expensive. It's got to be now. Mark Davis isn't poor anymore now that he can fill Allegiant Stadium up with the most expensive ticket in football. But like that's a big like the money he'd have to pay Josh McDaniels. We don't know what that number is, but it has to be. If his contract looks anything like a coaching contract in any form of football, it's 8 figures.
It's thick. It's a thick buyout.
It's girthy, right? It's a girthy buyout. So that's one big part of it.
Also, like the message you're sending to other coaches coming in, like, hey, you don't get any leeway. If you don't win right now, you don't get a second year, and like that's not a good precedent to set.
But do you want to blow out the message you send your fans too? Like, this guy took over a 10-win playoff team, wins 4 games, and we're still going to keep him. Like,
I want to address that. I want to address that right now because you keep saying a playoff team, like every single playoff team gets better the next year. The way it's set up, a little less than half the teams in the NFL make the playoffs, right? A little less than half. Okay. So that means
32.
Yeah, a little less than half. And there's always major turnaround, right? Major turnaround there's a couple of the teams that we're going to make the playoffs, maybe like 3 or 4. There's usually like 3 spots, 4 spots up for grabs. A new division winner and a couple of wild cards, right? That's usually what you see. So this thing of, you took over a playoff team, like, well, you know what? You have to take a look at the roster and what was actually there. And the fact that we won 4 overtime games last year. And I understand, they're resilient, this and that, but there's players on the other team too.
My point is, and you agreed with me last season when we talked about this, is like normally when you come in with a whole new GM, whole new coaching staff, you're taking over a 3-win team, right? You're taking over a team that's been terrible. This is one of the best teams in recent memory that got a new coaching staff. Now, maybe they got right to your point. Oh, they got lucky, or maybe they overplayed themselves. Like that could all be true, but this is still a much better team than new head coaches normally take over. Right? We can agree on that.
I can agree on that, but also you have to agree that we're not getting blown out except for 1 game.
And if I'm Josh McDaniels, that's my case. Is like, hey, Mark or Mr. Davis or bro or whatever he calls him, right? Bro, we're this close all the time. We're 1 good linebacker away from winning this. We're 1 right tackle away from being 5-2, or right. Like that would be my pitch if I'm Josh McDaniels. Is like,
I think Mark Davis knows that, man.
And the point differential is not that bad. Even
That's
after
what I'm
getting blown
saying,
out,
dude.
like minus 16, something like that.
That's what I'm saying. It's like we were +8 before we getting blown out.
Mhm.
So it wasn't like, we were in every game, so I can understand, like, look, and usually when a head coach loses a locker room, it's like week 14 or week 15, right? Because again, these players, they don't want to put bad tape out there. And if they're getting blown out every single week, that means they're putting bad tape out there. And they're like, dude, let's just put it all on the coach because we've already been putting bad tape out there. It's not going to happen soon if it does.
Now, if anyone can make something turn south immediately, it's Josh McDaniels. He was fired in Denver after 28 games. And remember, that was after starting 6-0. Like everyone's like, this is the best hire ever. Everything's great, right? Like he was able to lose that locker room and have things fall apart in 22 games, right? Like 6-game win streak. Like fucking, you should be flying, right? And we're just like, oh, this is like, how he could be the meanest, angriest motherfucker on planet Earth. But if you're 6-0, you're like,
winning, it's okay.
Who cares? Like we're winning, right? So that's my point is like, I am so baffled by Josh McDaniels. He has every single trait of a great head coach. Offensive mind, born and raised football. Like you never hear Patriots players bash him ever. Like Tom Brady, like adored him. He's got every single trait of a good head coach, except the record.
Yeah. The thing that you hear the most out of players when they talk about Josh McDaniels is prepared. He's prepared. He has an answer for everything, and he's right. He has an answer for everything. So how do you lose a locker room quickly? Is you do what you're saying that Ziegler should have done and blame the players as far as, oh yeah, they're just not any good.
No.
That's how
I said he said exactly what he's supposed to. My point is, it's our job to see through it as damage control. There's the difference.
It doesn't mean that what he's saying is false because it's also true, like you said.
Yeah.
So the way that you can keep players involved and invested is by showing them the mistakes that are being made and how easily they're fixed. Ultimately, I can show you all I want how to do something, but you have to go out and execute. Like, for example, I'm running. It's fucking nuts. I have 7 fucking fighters fighting on the same goddamn card. That's crazy. I don't know if you guys can appreciate how much work that is on that night. RJ knows.
It's like Jackson Winklejohn in their prime at a UFC.
It's freaking crazy, dude, having all those people fighting in one card. Anyway, I'm running strength and conditioning, right? And I'm doing this exercise with the Bulgarian bags, the big heavy Bulgarian bags. You know what they are, right? So I'm showing them how to do this exercise with the footwork and everything, and I'm actually doing it, and I'm actually showing them, here's what you do, boom, this way, and they're doing it all fucked up, and they're hitting their knees, and they're like, oh, it's landing on their head and all this shit. I can show them all I want how to do something. They have to go out and do it, and sometimes, like with them, like with the fighters, it just took a couple of reps for them to get it right, and then it's still not perfect with some of them. With some of them, they picked it up right away. But it takes time for you showing them what they're doing wrong, especially when they haven't been taught that way before.
Well, and again, isn't that what separates the best head coaches from others is
the teaching,
closing that gap, making it relatable. Like I don't know if you remember the video of it's kind of adorable when Jon Gruden was like trying to get Carr to be better in the pocket. Like, hey, this is when you run. I want you to run here. I want you to wiggle here. And he's fucking his fat ass, like 55-year-old ass, is like chasing him. He's like, go run. He's like holding on to his glasses. And he's like going after him. I was like, that's good coaching. That's like, here's the urgency. Here's me being a part of it. He can just say, hey, when you see this, run that way. But no, Gruden's out there, glasses flying everywhere, clipboard in hand, getting in his face, being a part of it. One, he loves football. I'm sure he enjoyed every second of it, but I think that's infectious. And I think, that helped Carr be so much better in the pocket than he'd been prior, right? Things like that. I think if I could point to anything, I've never been Josh McDaniels' locker room, but if I could guess, I think that's what he's missing. I think he's missing the get in there with them, make them, teach, not teach them the why, show and be a part of the why. Like Gruden was like, imagine I'm Chandler Jones,
be involved,
right?
Yeah.
Like that's the only thing I can think of. Cause like I said, like we do this Josh McDaniels versus Derek Carr thing, you and me all the time. And I hate it because I think Josh McDaniels has, again, every single trait of a good head coach. On paper, it's like he's got it. Resume, background,
knowledge,
everything.
experience.
But he loses. He just can't win as a head coach. And it's something intangible. That's all I can think is it's something intangible, whatever that is. But it's something important. It's something that's we can't brush off. He's like, well, he's got it all. He'll figure it out. Like, I hope so. And he said all the right things, right, leading up to this. So that's why I'm still optimistic for the future. But it's like that tangible thing is not a small deal.
And the players did too, man. What was Carr and Adam saying? Hey, he sat down. He talked to me about the system. What do you like?
Loved hearing that.
It's like, okay, well, where is it?
Players are buying in. It sounds like players are buying in.
Yeah, man. And look, he hasn't lost this locker room from what I'm hearing. These players are upset. They're not checked out. It's a big difference, and you can tell. So that bodes well, I think, for Josh McDaniels when a group that is looked at to be this talented has having this bad of a stretch can still be invested and not checked out and still be even, blaming themselves. What did Devontae say? We have to go out and make the play.
Which is why I thought this was the best locker room for Josh McDaniels, a locker room that keeps themselves. They keep themselves in check. They keep themselves accountable. They clearly handle some of the worst adversity a team can. Like, I thought, okay, like, even if Josh McDaniels hasn't overcome those issues that made him fail in Denver, the culture of this locker room seems like something that's not as big of an issue because they can kind of do it themselves.
Look,
it's something.
Look, I want to talk crazy right now. Is it okay?
Get wild.
Talk crazy. Okay.
You love small butts.
We're doing. Oh, hell no. No.
You have 18 strokes. I don't think
I'll take a big ass and small titties any day of the week. But no, not a small butt. I need to have something to grip onto. But we've won 4 games in a row. We know we can do it. If we go 4, then lose 1, then 4, then lose 1, guess where we are? 10-7. Mm-hmm. So all is not lost. And I think the players know that too, because I think the players know that we can go in to Kansas City and play with the best teams. We just need to execute when the time is right. And I think Josh McDaniels, again, what do you feel about the 2-point conversion? Let's jump on. This is part of my crazy talk. What do you think of the 2-point conversion in Kansas City?
I liked the aggression, hated the actual play call.
Yeah, me too. I didn't like the play call either.
Same with the fake punt. Same with the 3-and-1 with Devontae. Against
I didn't like the 3rd-and-1 reverse, the jet sweep. I didn't like that whatsoever. Ultimately, Colton Miller's got to make that block, dude. If Colton Miller just stands in front of the guy, he gets the first down. So you can shit on the play call all you want. The play was there to be made. It was just a very shitty. Even the fake punt was a good play call because we had a hat on a hat on that side of the ball. I don't know if you saw the game film. There was like 4 players on that side and 4 blockers. It was 1-on-1. It's just, Brandon Bolden didn't have a good block. He went inside instead of hooking him outside, and that messed up Horsted, and that just bogged everything down. And look, it's about the execution. You can talk about the play call all you want, but the play call was there because there was a hat on a hat. And I think that's a cue where when you look at our side and you have 4 guys on this side of the line of scrimmage and you have 4 blockers on that side, that's when you run it. And just the execution wasn't there. I like the aggression of the 2-point conversion.
Well, real quick, I mean, to get 100% blocking rate on 4 blocks is hard in the NFL, right? Like, you're right. Like 4-on-4, we could work, but like to get 100% block rate on 4 blocks, like that's
okay. 2 of those blocks were a little bit further down the field. They weren't on the line of scrimmage, and you would have gotten that yardage with that 1 block because that 1 bad block knocked out 2 players, and then everything else went to shit. So I get what you're saying. The thing is you have these certain keys set up for a reason, and you're in the field, part of the field where that would be acceptable to do. I guess if you want to call it like the book on it or whatever. When you look at the tape, do you agree with the call? I mean, if it would have worked, would you have disagreed with it? Like, no, it's like, hey, you know what? There was a hat on a hat, and they executed it, and they got the first down. I'm not trying to make this a personnel versus execution thing, but we have to execute better on these things. And for it to be a Josh McDaniels guy that didn't execute there, I mean, it's
Dave Ziegler guy.
It's tough.
Right?
A Dave
Like
Ziegler guy, yeah. It's Brandon
again.
Bolden
That's
who made a
another
shitty
like
block.
dude you brought in, and it's
Yeah, and
like,
he made a
that is
shitty block and it blew up the whole play. So here's where the crazy talk is involved. The 2-point conversion was a building point. Let's execute this 2-point conversion. Let's win this fucking game and make this fucking happen. I have the confidence in you guys to be able to execute this play that we've ran a million times during goal line in practice. We can execute this play, and it wasn't executed properly. Now, even after that, we got to stop miraculously, and we got the ball back, and I still fucked up. But the deal being is, I don't see that as being a bad thing or a bad call. It's an opportunity for you to build on your execution.
Ready to do some Autumn Windbags? Wait for you to drink.
You know it.
Uncharted Raider. You guys can literally agree with each other and still argue about it. I feel like that's our gift, or is it our curse?
I think it's a gift.
Remember the old the Family Guy scene when Stewie's like, "Oh yeah, I can't wait till I'm married and old for a long time," and it's him old with the wife, and they're both sitting there, and the wife sneezes, and Stewie looks at him and goes, like they just hate it, like they're just on edge. You know what I mean? Just mean mugs her because she sneezes. I feel like that's like us. Like we're just waiting to we're so defensive. We're waiting to pounce at any moment. And we're like, oh wait, you're agreeing with me? Sorry. I was like my daughter, she's 3. Her first instinct is to say no to anything because she's a sassy 3-year-old. She's a 3-nager. It's like, no.
I'm wondering where she got that from.
Definitely the mom. And just like, hey, do you want to brush your teeth? No. You ready for bed? No. Do you want ice cream? Yes.
Yes, that is correct.
Do you mean yes? Yes. It's kind of like that, I think.
Yeah, I think a lot of times when we come to the same conclusion, but we take a different path, it's still an argument because of the path we took to get there.
We get caught up in the how.
Yeah.
Reality check. The players don't like McDaniels. They don't want to work for him or his staff. I don't buy that.
I don't buy that whatsoever. I don't get a sense of the players being checked out at all.
I mean, they might be, but I'm not getting that vibe.
Nah, dude.
Any of them.
This is the modern NFL, bro. These guys are not going to stay quiet about this shit. You would have heard something.
This is what's so weird. Like we heard all these stories of how the ex-Bronco players couldn't stand him. You don't hear that from anyone else. None of the Patriots players, not even his year in with the Rams. No one from the Raiders this year. It's like it's weird. Like it was like you hear all those examples from the Broncos, nowhere else. So I'm hoping that it was just like a bad mixture of personalities in Denver. Like maybe that's why he imploded.
Yeah, I mean
they turned on him. And also remember the whole he was gonna trade Cutler, but he had said he wanted to, but then couldn't. Remember that? It started off on such a bad foot.
Yeah, it didn't start great.
And yet they still went 6-0. So it was I wonder if that poison kind of it was everyone in the back of everyone's mind, but it took a while to fester type of thing.
Well, I watched a podcast. Brandon Marshall was on it, the wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
And after 3 games, he said, after 3 losses, so they were 6-3. They're like, oh man, I knew we weren't that good. It was after the 3rd loss, so they were still 6-3,
mm-hmm.
and then the team quit. So, how much of that was the previous regime because they were losers for however many long years they were losers before McDaniels got there? Look, the way the media works now, if there's an issue in the locker room, we would have heard about it. No locker room is that airtight where you don't hear shit. We even heard shit from the Steelers locker room. And that is the tightest ship run, even tighter than the Patriots. Those guys are iron freaking dude. Mike Tomlin runs that ship where you don't say shit. Well, guess what? It's the modern NFL, and Chase Claypool is going to say some shit. So if something was going on in the locker room, we would have heard it.
One of the greatest coaching moves ever is how Tomlin was able to Why am I fucking blanking on his name? The Steelers wide receiver that we got that practiced like twice and disappeared. Why am I blanking on his name?
Bryant?
Antonio
Brown?
Antonio Brown. Can't believe I blanked on Antonio.
So we got two. We got two from the.
We got two of them, right? I blanked on Antonio Brown. It's a minor miracle that it never really got out just how crazy Antonio Brown was when he was in Pittsburgh.
Dude, this guy's jerking off in a fucking public pool with his dick on hard. Like, dude, this guy's nuts.
And the rest of the NFL is like, well, he's a little, he's kind of a bright personality, but we can take him. It's like, no, he's fucking insane.
He's insane.
And Tomlin kept that under wraps for years. How insane he was. That's a minor miracle.
He's the CEO of Dundle Sports.
Nate U08, N8 U08. Raiders media sucks for anyone over the age of 12. Well, that sucks for us because ours is aimed at people 11 and under. So we're missing that 12-year-old demographic.
Yeah, good for children.
Yeah, very good for children.
You know what? I disagree with that. I think that the Raiders media, especially their social media, is very aged because they don't do a lot of things that 12-year-olds like on social media. Mm-hmm. I don't know any 12-year-olds that are following the Raiders on their social media.
Well, yeah, I mean that's directly from the Raiders, but I think he's thinking more like media, like the beat writers and that kind of shit. The Raiders media is unique because it's a team in a new city, things change a lot. So if you go to the Philly market, the Boston market, the New York market, they're
Boston market.
Their media embodies their fan base, right? So if you're on a losing streak, the media is going to go after that head coach because that's what their fan base wants, right? Mm-hmm. Because Vegas, it's a whole new look at the Vegas media, the beat writers, they're either from the Bay Area and moved to Vegas and they're new, or they're Vegas-based people who they don't care about the Raiders. They have no attachment to the Raiders. It's a job, right? And that's kind of how it should be, right? If you're a real, true, journalistic beat writer, which that's not us, we're fans. But if you're a real, true journalistic beat writer, you should be objective with the team and not really be a fan. But it's even more so because it's a market that's not used to having an NFL team that's still kind of getting on board. And it's a bunch of either import media guys that aren't from the area or guys that are from the area and have no attachment to the Raiders. So you get there's an indifference with Raiders media, which isn't not a bad thing by any means. It's actually, I would argue it's more good than bad, but the media doesn't emulate us.
You wouldn't want it to either because it's too polarizing. You want the information, and you want analysis. You don't want a lot of opinion when it comes from the media like that because you want to draw your own opinion from the data that you're given, from what your eyeballs see, from the data. You want to draw your own opinion when someone's constantly giving you their opinion, and you're supposed to be this objective media. That's when you start losing people. That's why people hate me.
Well, they hate you because
there's a lot of reasons they can hate me. I'll tell you that right now. I give them a lot of reasons.
So we went long. We didn't even get a chance to break down Raiders Jags. So we'll do that later. Which is sometimes better because then we get a better gauge on, injury status, stuff like that. So sorry for people that just listen to the pod. You're going to have to check out the YouTube for Raiders Jags. Raiders minus 1.5 favorites still. I think it's because the Jags were the only team that played almost as bad as the Raiders last Sunday. The Jags played. Trevor Lawrence was maybe the only quarterback last week that played worse than Derek Carr. And even then, it's really close. It's really close.
Yeah, he was really bad. He's had a couple of bad games in a row.
Awful. So we'll see. All right, but until then, knock on wood if you're with me. Congratulations for making it all the way to the end of our video. If you want Darren Waller to catch 20 touchdown passes next season and for Max Crosby to have 30 sacks, go ahead and subscribe and click the next video.